What's up, internet? I really want to curse right now, but I'm not gonna because YouTube. The GM tried to force the Druid player to use the one D&D template, Druid of the Land, Air, and Sea, and that stuff's lame. So they got in a fight. Such is canceled. This is getting out of control. Anyway, hey, what's up? We're back.
Up.
Isaiah. Isaiah. I explicitly was trying not to swear in the first minute.
It's fine. Brett will beep it out.
No,
Brett,
he
beep
won't.
It out.
No, he won't.
Insert the Brett. Beep it out for me.
Insert the Brett. Enhance.
Brett, beep it out for you so we can actually pay you with ad revenue.
Oh my god. All right.
Oh, this is
Hello.
going off to a good start.
I'm back. It's not just Sam and Matt. So today we're going to try it. We're going to bring it back to tabletop and not just JoJo. Oh, fuck. I didn't say that. I'm so bad at this.
Get got, loser.
All right. Tis I, Josh. I am here with Matt.
Frick.
And Isaiah.
Frack.
Nice.
We're good Christian boys. We don't swear or anything.
No, I swear.
Reminded of the Billy and Mandy thing where Billy's really mad, but he's trying not to curse, so he's just saying random angry words, and he just goes poopy really quietly.
All right. So, as you all might imagine, we haven't done one of these in a hot minute, but if you looked at the title, you as a wise title reading individual may have deduced we're doing another class handbook. We're talking about Druid. You might say, well, what spurred this thought on? And the answer is Isaiah was talking a lot of smack about the Druid. I
usually do.
As Isaiah usually does. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. You, me, Matt, audience, Isaiah, we're all getting to the bottom of this together as a family. Ohana means family.
Watch Mojo, top 15. Why is the Druid the worst class?
Yeah, something like that. Sure. Number 10. Yeah. Yes. We return. This time, we're talking about the Druid. Although, to be honest, the other thing that kind of spurred this train of thought on was the one D&D playtest stuff and how they just completely dunked Druid. Although, we'll get
again. Remember, they said that audience was asking for. The people said that they wanted templates.
Yeah.
And so they gave it to them. But people, it's the same.
Listen. Let me we'll get to it. Not yet, Matt.
Let me just finish my joke.
Okay.
It's like when what's it called? When Tasha's the human variant with dark vision. What's it called again?
Custom lineage.
It's literally like that, where people are like, we want to make official homebrew races. So Wizards gave you that. And everyone's like, this sucks. This isn't what we wanted. And then Wizards turns around, dude, why'd you fucking ask for it then, you little shit? It's basically that. We want Druid templates. Gives Druid templates. This isn't what we wanted. Why did you ask for it?
I don't know. I was one of those people, but when they said custom lineage, and I was like, can I have a null now? And they were like,
no.
You can call it a null. And I went, but I want hee hee hoo hoo.
No.
I want hee hee hoo hoo dog man.
Matt, you're actually kind of on something. That's not a bad comparison.
Right?
All right. So, we will get into that, but we have to go through our initial questions. I want to. It's my show. I'm in control.
I'll take Tree Hugger for 11, Josh.
Yeah. So, let's just start right at the gate. The classic as is the class handbook episodes. What do you rate a Druid on a 1 to 5? And I'm gonna start this one because I have some complicated feelings. So, I'm gonna give the Druid, for me, in 5e, the Druid gets a 3. 3 out of 5. And now you might say, discerning listeners, as well as Isaiah and Matt, you might say, but Josh, you always say how much you love Druids, and I do love Druids very much. Why would you give it a 3? And the answer is because I love the concept, but am frustrated with the execution in many ways. And there's a lot of things that Druid does in 5e. Druid, to me, every time I look at the Druid, I go, that's cool. I hate that. That's cool. I hate that. That's interesting. I don't like that. That's also interesting. Also don't like that. It's a constant battle back and forth of me being into it and not into it. Which is why it falls into a solid middle ground 3 for me, because it's just an eternal battle. You know? Makes sense?
No, honestly, same.
Especially because I've seen other, the other thing is I've seen other tabletop games do the execution of a Druid better, namely Dungeon World.
Hold on, I actually can take a shot right now, so I will.
Why?
You said Dungeon World.
You brought up Power by the Apocalypse, so I have to do is take a shot.
Oh, okay.
You just can't mention that, or Street Fighter 6, or, you know.
Yeah.
Take it.
I mean, I was.
I mentioned it, though.
I was playing some Street Fighter 6 last night. Yeah, it's just one of those situations where it's like, I love the concept, but the execution has some frustrations for me, so it falls in a solid middle ground in a lot. But there are parts of the execution that I think are really cool. So yeah. Matt, where are you at?
So to be honest, I'm somewhere in the same boat, but I'm like debating on 2 or 3.
Matt,
I want to say 3 because I think
Matt, I swear on my life, if the first class you give a 2 is the Druid, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna strangle you with my bare hands. Don't do this to me.
Well, the only reason, because I don't think the Druid overall is bad, but there are some, like you said, there's some mixed things where it's like, oh, this is really great, the execution wise, and then this one other ability is like, or pointless, like what is it, Timeless Body, I think, or no, that's the monk thing. What's the one where basically like Druids don't age?
Yeah. Same
like,
idea.
I mean, that's cool, flavorful thing, but like, could I get like
something else?
And yeah, I'm with. This is also going to be super probably controversial.
Also, controversial. It is called Timeless Body. Yes.
Yeah. I much as I like the Druid as an idea, I kind of just want a subclass of Wizard. That's the nature guy.
You get out of my house right now. You said the forbidden sentence. You're exiled from. You log out of this Discord right now. Matt, hang up. Hang up right now. How dare you say that to me? No, you said that in my house.
Because I like the idea of Druids, but I like the idea of the nature mage.
No.
I kind of wish it was a wizard. Like a wizard that would like fucking Radagast or some shit, or Gandalf, like we said in their other episode.
Absolutely not.
Josh is just mauled.
I'm furious that you just said that. You said that in my home. You came in here on the day of my daughter's wedding. I can't believe you just said that to me.
Because I just think with 5e, it's a mixed bag of It's a mixed bag of confusion, because it's like they have the animal shape, which is cool, but then they have the spell casting, which is like, okay, because I know.
All right. We're breaking this down. We're breaking this down right now.
Hey,
we're breaking this down right now. Why Wizard is not why Druid is its own thing. And I'm not, you know what? I'll throw you a bone. I'm not even going to bring up Wild Shape.
Okay.
Why is Druid its own thing? Druid needs to be its own thing from a Wizard for the same reason that Psionics need to be their own thing. In that Druids need to feel different. Because a Druid is not a Wizard. A Wizard is all about studying, figuring out the arcane sigils, the correct words, the sort of magical geometries, all that shit, right? Druids are none of that. Druids are the feel. They're in tune with the world around them and the type of magic they cast. Like, Druid magic to me should always be pulling from the landscape around you. Wizards get to just summon fire for no reason. Druids create fire because they rip the oxygen from the air and imbue it with the wood from the trees, and that creates the fire.
But I think you can flavor that as a wizard, or you can just have that in the subclass feature thing where it says that, where it's like your nature comes from studying nature and being at one attuned with the world, the natural world around you and shit.
Listen, you can add all that flavor shit, but at the end of the day, mechanics is what gives you that good, meaty goodness. And I think That's actually the place where I often get a little annoyed with the 5e druid, is because some of the mechanics really reinforce that good naturey fun stuff. Some of them don't.
Yeah.
And this is where I get frustrated with the fact that the spell lists in 5e have so much cross-pollination. Because I want druid and ranger spells to feel truly unique from everyone else.
Well, and again, that's why like one of my favorite subclass. This is skipping ahead a little bit, but like I love the Circle of Land Druid, the one it's the wizard. It's the wizard druid because
but that's literally
each one's tied to different nature.
That's my least favorite druid.
I know.
Literally my least favorite druid.
Yeah, and the thing is, they get more spells. They get more spells than other druids, and the other ones like, again, we'll go into it later. But like, Again, I said it was going to be a controversial take, so Listen,
I've heard other people say it, so you're not alone. But I think people are missing the point a little bit, because people think when you say shit like that, like, oh, the druid should be a subclass of wizard. What you're saying is, oh, all magic is the same, but it's not. That's the thing.
No, because I'm not saying.
Okay. Let me rephrase that.
Wait. Pause. Wait, Matt, finish your point.
No,
it shouldn't all be the same.
It shouldn't. No, I agree. It shouldn't all be the same. But I think the subclass, you can differentiate it enough.
No, you can't though. That's the whole thing I was saying. What episode was it? I don't remember what episode it was. But there was an episode where we were saying that subclasses have a limitation. You can only push them so far. And I don't
believe it was an episode.
It was.
Yeah, it was a few episodes ago. Yeah,
it was a few episodes ago. I distinctly remember listening to it. I don't remember what we were talking about specifically, but subclasses have a limitation in how far you can push them. That's
I don't know, but I think they're pushing that though with a lot of the newer subclasses. Like, have you read the Moon Sorcerer? That's pushing sorcerers so far ahead into the forefront.
It is, but it's still a sorcerer.
Yeah, well, because
a druid isn't a wizard. This is my problem. A druid is not a wizard. A true druid is not a wizard. They're not the same. My take
to come up.
Because a true,
I'm trying to get to you.
Here's
the
thing.
Trying.
If the truest example of a druid in history, right? There's two examples I think of. One is where the word comes from, the Celtic druid, right?
Right.
Those dudes are not wizards.
No.
The other one are skinwalkers, and those dudes are very much not wizards.
Well, that's what I'm saying with the subclass. That's when you can add the features being like, you don't need a spell book. You get your magic from nature. Like, that's when you can do that. And subclasses have done that.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Done that shit in the past.
Let me give you an example. All right, let me give you an example. Subclasses do not add fundamental class mechanics. For example, Channel Divinity on the Cleric. There is no Channel Divinity versus Celestial Warlock. The Celestial Warlock subclass does not give you Channel Divinity, because Channel Divinity is intrinsic to the Cleric and the Paladin class. In the same way that Wild Shape and its seeming like what they're going to call Channel Nature are intrinsic to the Druid as a class. And 5e doesn't push subclasses far enough into that realm for me to feel like it's a justification to call it a wizard subclass. On top of the fact that you have class spell lists, and a huge part of what makes a druid is they have certain spells that no one else gets. Or no one else is supposed to get, however, certain subclasses I think encroach on that too much, like Oath of Ancients Paladin, for example. Although I love the Oath.
That one I think the Oath of Ancients is fine. I think Nature Cleric is fine.
I love the idea, but it does make the druid feel less special when you start taking a lot, like Call Lightning, and you start giving it to everybody. Like Call Lightning.
I don't think giving it to like two subclasses is everybody.
Barbarian gets it. Sorcerer gets it. Cleric gets it. A lot of classes get Call Lightning.
Barbarians get Call Lightning?
Yes.
The Storm one?
Storm
yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Storm Herald, sorry.
Yes. Barbarian gets the Call Lightning spell. It gets handed out. That spell gets handed out like candy, and I feel like it should be much more precious to the Druid. And maybe the Ranger. Ranger and Druid, in a lot of ways, occupy a very similar space for me.
I know, but I remember I used to have the mindset of I think Ranger should have been just a fighter subclass a while ago too. So
Yeah, no. Nothing on this planet is going to convince me. Nothing will convince me that Ranger should be a fighter subclass or that Druid should be a wizard subclass. Absolutely not. Now, at least in 5e, if there was a new edition of D&D came out where the subclasses went even further, maybe. But the way subclasses are handled now, no.
All right, wait. What does that mean for you? Subclasses going further. What does that specifically mean? Because we've seen the one D&D's Nuts playtest, like I think they're getting 4 abilities now instead of the 3 like most subclasses.
Yeah, but that's not.
Do?
So, okay.
Like, what do you mean by like pushing them more?
Subclasses in 5e, there's kind of 2 things they don't do that I think make it so that other classes are still a requirement. So, the first thing subclasses don't do is subclasses, and this is going to sound weird, subclasses in 5e never ever take away tools. That's the first thing. I will explain that statement. Don't. The other thing subclasses don't do for me is subclasses never ever add core mechanics to a class. Examples being a subclass will never give you a barbarian's rage. A subclass will never give you sneak attack. A subclass will never give you channel divinity. A subclass will never give you arcane recovery. Really, really core mechanics to each individual class. Subclasses do not gift those because subclasses in 5e, the way they're currently designed, this could change in the future, but the way they are currently designed right now, subclasses build on the existing mechanics that a class already has. So for example, the subclasses of the cleric will add options to your channel divinity. However, the nature cleric does not give you the ability to use wild shape, for example. They don't do that because that's a core druid mechanic.
Wait, weren't you just complaining about cross-pollination though?
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want them to do that. I'm just telling you why I think the subclasses aren't enough. I'm actually fine with the way it is now.
I was just saying, I mean, I disagree. I think subclasses help out immensely, but
no, they help, but they are never so different that they cross-pollinate into another class. And because they don't cross-pollinate into another class, that justifies the existence of Druid, of Ranger, of Sorcerer. All those classes are justified because subclasses don't cross over far enough. And in terms of taking mechanics away, the reason I say that one is because let's say, all right, we want to make Druid a subclass of Wizard. If you really, really want to push that theme and that class fantasy, that would mean you would have to take away from Wizard. You would have to take away the spellbook. Subclasses wouldn't do that. You maybe arguably would have to change how the wizard learns spells. A subclass will not do that. You might have to maybe rework arcane recovery. A subclass will not do that because they're not willing. Because they're not willing to arcane recovery. They're not willing to take away and replace with something else. So, for example,
I mean, no, because they did that with Ranger.
No, they did
that. They granted to fix stuff with Ranger, but they added a bunch of abilities and newer things that you can swap out. And it's like, here's the old ability you would get at level 1. Here's the new one.
That's for the base class.
Yeah,
that's not from the subclass.
Wait. Hold on. We're divulging too far. Matt, what's your ratings?
He did.
Fuck. A 2 or 3. I can't. I don't know which one.
What was it? You were gonna say something.
I don't remember.
God. Damn it.
My point is, the point I'm getting at is, Druid as a wizard subclass is not justified in my mind because subclasses don't do a big enough change to the base class for it to feel. Because if Druid was a subclass of wizard, it would just feel like a nature wizard. And a Druid is more than a nature wizard. They are more than that. They're not just nature wizards. There's more to them than that. That's the problem. Like, the idea that a druid is just a nature wizard is reductive. That's why I have beef with that. Like, and also, quite frankly, we already have the class. Why would you take it away? You know? He's already there. Why take it away? There's no reason to take it away. You don't benefit. You know what I mean?
There's too many words. Too many words I gotta read, Josh. I just don't want to.
Druids aren't even okay. See, that's the other thing.
wait, before you, I'm memeing.
Nah, Matt.
Because we haven't. I want to hear Isaiah.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Isaiah. Give us your rating. Give us your rating, Isaiah. Where are you at?
Solid 3, my guy.
Okay.
Mainly because Druid ain't my bag, baby, but I do respect what it is trying to do. It's just not my thing. You know what I mean?
It's not your thing in what sense?
So for me, Druid is nature wizard, not skinwalker. You know, I wanted to go whole hard on I control the elements,
but that's not okay.
I can turn into a bear.
Okay, hold on. This is my thing. Nature wizard, I think, is the wrong terminology.
If nature mage, magic user, that's the thing we're trying to like convey.
What a wizard is, if you want to make if you want to stay in the 5e realm, Druid is a nature sorcerer. That's the distinction.
Well, they're not. Because they're not initially
they're more
born.
like a nature cleric because they're sort of it comes with their connection
sorcerer
with nature.
Or I would take either or sorcerer or cleric because in a lot there are the skinwalkers in particular. I would argue are nature sorcerers in a lot of ways because skinwalkers in Native American mythology are gifted with a weird they are born with an extra power from birth kind of thing. Like a skinwalker's primary ability, which is to shape change, comes from the fact that they are born from like weird parents. Like that is where I think even sometimes they're born from like monsters, if I remember correctly, or like supernatural beings. So like that's why, because a wizard to me is so by the books, so analytical. They have a very specific connotation in D&D, you know? Which is kind of why, as me and Isaiah were saying, Gandalf kind of feels more like a druid than a wizard. Because he doesn't do a lot of that, and he does sort of call upon his connection with the world. That's my...
Yeah, he's also like an angel, so...
Right, which is in a lot of ways, being an angel is sort of being connected with the planet, as well as being sort of clerical. Like it's both, but he's not a wizard. You know? Like wizard is like, there's a lot of baggage with wizard.
I don't know. I don't feel that way. I think you could make like, this is going to sound very like vague, but it's like, I think you could break the box. I think you can step out of the box and wizards don't have to be so analytical.
I think breaking the box is the term mage.
Yeah.
Like if you like mage,
magic user.
Mage or magic user are the catch-alls, yeah. But wizard is something very specific, and I think calling a druid a nature wizard is being reductive and sort of in a way sort of ignoring their history. That's the other thing. Druids have a real, actual, legitimate history.
In my fantasy? Nah.
They do, though. Like, druids are a real, legit... Like, this is the thing, right? Wizards have no real history. Druids have a genuine history in terms of Celtic druids, in terms of skinwalkers, shamans. Like, there's an actual history to this idea. In the same way that there's an actual history to the cleric. You know? So, like... I think you gotta give it a little respect. People don't give Druid respect. Maybe that's my beef here. I feel like people disrespect the Druid, and we're not, love them.
I don't think we've
making them a wizard subclass is disrespectful.
I don't know. There's a subclass that is basically the Druid wizard.
No, it's not. What?
Yeah.
Which one?
The land. Druid of the Land is the Druid wizard subclass. It literally, you get extra spells.
No. That's
Each
just
one's
the
based
druid.
on a different.
No.
Druid of the land. Look it up, John.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It gets arcane recovery.
That's not. No.
Sanctuary. Like, it is the wizard druid.
No, it's not.
Subclass.
It's the druid with more of an emphasis on their nature magic. That is not making them a druid wizard. It's not the same.
I'm kind of mad on this one.
They get a extra bonus cantrip. They get natural recovery, which literally works exactly the same as arcane recovery. I love this extra spell list they get for the circle spells, like depending on what archetype.
The circle, okay,
depending on the land.
This is my thing.
Like depending on the different like biomes you come from.
The circles. Circles are distinctly different from wizard. Like the druidic land circles are all based around nature themes, which already makes them different from wizards. So they're not wizards,
but they get more spells, so they're wizards.
No, that's reductive.
That's
reductive.
You listen, man. I didn't write the subclass.
You're being reductive.
I don't know. It's
you're mistreating them.
This is the magic.
They deserve respect.
No, I'm not saying they don't, but like this is like we were saying, like I love the idea of the nature mage. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Real quick, if I can, could you not argue that since the wizard's whole thing is their connection to the colleges of magic, which are in theory sort of just primordial aspects of the weave, that they are not also in some sense nature wizards because the weave is a fundamental piece of reality?
Got him.
No. Because the schools of magic are based around specific techniques. Right?
Yes, but those techniques are based on like fundamental ideas of like power,
magic,
but life,
power magic.
No,
every subclass, every spellclass there.
No.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yes.
Because the schools of magic are based around, if you're an abjuration wizard, you're based around the concept of protection. If you're an evocation wizard, you're based around the concept of destruction. If you're a necromantic wizard, you're based around the concept of resurrecting dead things. That is not the same as being about the concept of water or the concept of wind or the concept of earth. It's not the same thing.
I honestly, man, I don't know. Because again, if you're talking about wizards in 5e, the schools of magic are just different studies of the weave. You know, the veil of reality that hangs over the planescape.
Source. But the weave is a power source. Nature is a manifestation of that power source.
No, the weave is the same thing. The weave is the manifestation of all magic. Is the manifestation.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. No. So the wizards are tapping into the power source. The druids are tapping into a manifestation formed from it. Like life and nature were created from in a way, the wizards are tapping into something more fundamental. In 5e terms, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's different.
It sounds kind of like the same, almost the same, like very similar. Like
no. Okay, this is the difference. The wizard says, "Hey, weave, you want to help me blow this dude up?" Whereas the druid says, "Hey, tree, help me protect this homie."
I mean, it's the same thing, just different like variations.
No,
I know. The weave is the concept thing, but nature is there. Nature is physical, and
right. But nature
pulling from some source.
Yeah, they're pulling from a source, but I would argue nature is a child of the weave, not the same thing.
Sure, but what does that matter? If they're both pulling from something, like what does it matter where they pull from? It matters
in the sense of if you want to reinforce the different themes and feelings of the different classes, you lean into those different themes.
Sure, but like you can have a nature wizard. You can do it. You can do it in 5e. It might be difficult, but you can do it.
But it's not.
And you can be the wizard druid, and be the druid who focuses on spells and shit. Like you can do it.
I refuse to give ground on this. Nothing will convince me that druid should be a subclass of wizard.
We agree to disagree.
Nothing on this planet is convincing me. Nothing. I fucking refuse.
Perfect. So let's move on to the second point of the grading system.
Yeah.
There's what?
Yeah, it's what do you grade it? Quintessential. Have you played?
Yeah, I mean, sure, you start.
Oh, really? You want me to start? You're not gonna like my answer.
Oh no.
I literally never like your answer.
again, most of my
Wow.
answers are pretty cool and like
I was
clever.
about to say you've liked a bunch of his answers. I
So
don't know,
my quintessential druid is Kanas from Fire Emblem: The Blazing Sword.
I don't even know who the fuck that is. So
I know.
moving on.
So Kanas is so the interesting thing about Fire Emblem is that druids are not typical druids. They are very specifically dark mages who use dark magic.
Which is dumb and I hate it.
Don't worry, it's fine. But because Kanas is the first druid that I was ever sort of shown to, I just see like weird ooky spooky man in black robes doing ooky spooky reality magic. And like in some way, the druids are still pulling from nature. They're pulling from natural magic. It just is really violent. So like their main spell is pulling from shadows, which is like a natural thing. It's literally just called flux and darkness. And anima is another thing that their like main affinity is they don't have like fire, wind, and lightning. They have anima as their magic, which is really cool. And they also are the only class that can learn I believe it's not Nosferatu, it's something else, but it's just a black hole. It's just like nature at its most fundamental and primordial of destruction. And it's so fucking cool. They also have really cool sprites, especially when they become a dark druid, which is like the big boy.
I'm gonna be honest.
That's strange. Yeah.
I fucking hate the idea of druids being evil wizards.
Wait. So they're not evil. They're very specifically not evil. They just tap into primordial magic that is violent.
Which is dark? That doesn't... No.
I mean, I guess, but they're not evil. Like, there's plenty of druids in Fire Emblem that aren't evil. They pull magic from the literal darkness.
That's completely ignoring the life-giving aspect of nature. Like, the whole thing, like, one of the biggest things about druids is that nature brings life. Not darkness.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, particularly when you're talking about Native American practices, that's like the main thing.
Yeah.
Fine.
I don't actually remember what they can. So in the game Sacred Stones, all the classes have 2 branch offs. So rather than just druid, a shaman can become some. Oh yeah, that's right. The base class is called shaman. They become a summoner, which is like I summon animals, which that's a little more on brand, but
that is more on brand. Yeah,
I would say I was gonna say shamans are like usually good examples of druids, right? Like Warcraft and all that shit.
Well, in WoW, no, shamans and druids are different.
Oh, druids are their own class, and
yeah, shaman and druid is its own classes in WoW. A shaman in WoW is about the very, very purest form of nature in terms of the 4 elements. So fire, fire, wind, water, earth, and shamans focus a lot on totems and how the totems either give you like buffs or debuffs or whatever. Druids in WoW tend to be if you go with a healer druid, a lot of what you're doing is revitalizing and healing and buffing through the concept of life in general. And if you go with a tank druid, you're basically permanently in animal form, like 90% of the time. Shamans tend to be DPS or healers. Druids can be a DPS, a tank, or a healer. They can do all 3 because they are probably the most them and like paladins, I suppose, are like the most versatile classes in WoW. Or at least they were. I don't know if monk exists now, so that's I suppose. Anyway,
yeah, I never thought. Yeah, I never thought like black holes and stuff like being primordial. That's. I mean, it's a different take.
It's a different take. I hate that. I can't. That feels like no.
Yeah, even like the artwork, like it doesn't convey druid.
Nah.
But I guess it's like because I mean, to be fair, like a lot of people they say druids, and like most people are like, yeah, they're the hooded guys in church all the time, all this shit. Like,
well,
okay.
druids do have. Okay, so if you're talking about,
there's like the Catholic or the religious
so
druids who are just the guys with the hoods and the robes and the brown robes and the rope belt, and they just fucking pray all day.
If you're talking about history, like actual history, druids have a sort of somewhat evil connotation when you look at them through a Catholic lens, because druids come from pagan religions, and Catholicism said basically Catholicism said paganism is bad. So yes, there was a sort of weird, evil, spooky, hooded dude connotation to the actual history of it.
I can see where they pull maybe with that, and then they're like,
yes, that is probably where. But the problem is, I guess
like more of the nature.
Well, I guess my beef is I don't like looking at druids through a Catholic lens in the first place, because in a lot of ways the Catholics were treating them like shit. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of ways, Christianity was very dismissive and looked down upon like the Celtic druidic practices.
Yes, they do.
And was disrespectful.
The reason why I like the Fire Emblem Druid is that they're very specifically not evil. They tap into like destruction magic, basically, but it's I guess the idea is that creation is light and destruction is dark, because there are like all of the like healing spells are also of the anima type, but it's the opposite side of anima. So it's kind of like white magic and and black magic in Fire Emblem and in Final Fantasy.
In Final Fantasy, yeah. Well, I'm not necessarily against the premise of druids, like druids being adhered to the concept of destruction. I'm not against, because nature destroys things, and that checks out. But the idea that they're tapping into like the primordial chaos of destruction is a little like
well, I mean, because if you think about even going back into old 5e days, back with the elemental princes and everything, the four major elements, and then the Church of I forgot, it was like the Church of the Eye or something, where there was a singular god that broke up into four different elemental princes that each one ruled, the plane of fire, earth, air, water, all that shit. Like, so I don't know. I can see like they could be, some people pulling from like ancient evil magic, but like it's not actually, they're not evil. I actually kind of like the idea of these guys like looking really scary and evil, and then being like, "Now we're the good guys," and you're just like, "Oh."
Well, for me, it's neither evil nor good. It's just nature. Nature is just nature. Like, it does both. You know what I mean? Like, it's nature. Like, clerics are like explicitly good, and warlocks are often explicitly evil, in the sense that they're tapping into two different sides of the spectrum. But druids are tapping into something that is truly neutral. You know, like. In the classic example is a wildfire. You're like, oh, wildfire bad because it burns down the trees, but also wildfire good because it revitalizes the soil. You know, like that's where I want it. That's where I like it to fall. Like they are. That's why, I'm okay with a druid character being either evil or good. Like they could be either one, but I don't like the idea of pigeonholing them or tilting them towards a specific tone. I think there should be room for them to go in both directions. Also, that art of that character, Isaiah, that looks like a wizard to me.
Yeah, I mean, all of the mages in Fire Emblem have a very similar like look and vibe. That's just sort of the way they be. But yes, he is good as boy. That being said, if I was going to pick a different, not like Isaiah's childhood answer, it's the Avatar.
Yes, the Avatar is a very good one.
Like, that's my quintessential wizard. None of the animal nonsense. I want, like, I control the power of nature and I blow shit the fuck up.
Well, they learn from animals.
I know.
I was just about to say,
had animal powers in the bit.
True.
Don't fucking care.
Here's my thing.
Get it out of here.
Here's my thing. You say, oh, well, Avatar doesn't have the animal shit, except for they do. Because A, they learn from the animals, and B, the Avatar state often invokes an animal form. So,
I wouldn't say often. I'd say it can. Because we've only seen it once with the water elemental.
No, there was another. There was I feel like there was another one.
Well, also the avatar always has a spiritual connection with
Also
some
has
sort of
animals.
animal.
Yeah.
Look, you
they
can
always
have like an animal
sidekick.
companion, but the avatar has never turned into like a bear.
Turned into a big fish.
Yeah, it's a giant water elemental.
Yeah, well, technically, it was with help from the moon spirit. So
Big fish monster.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, but it wasn't a fish. It wasn't like elementals. Cool as fuck. I love that shit. But like actual animal, yeah.
To this in a minute, Matt. Who's your quintessential Druid?
You're probably also not gonna like it.
Yes.
I'm gonna go because it's Matt. I gotta go comic books all the time.
Wait. You said you're going comic books?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a mental guess. Who is it?
Poison Ivy.
Damn it, not who I thought.
I thought you were gonna say Storm. Appreciate
I thought you were gonna say Swamp. I thought Swamp Thing.
Both good answers, but actually I do
I'll take
have
Poison
those
Ivy,
on
though.
here. But like I was like, no, I want to go with the OG gal, Poison Ivy. She controls plants. She fucking speaks with plants.
I'll take Poison
grasping
Ivy.
vines. Fucking like immune to poison. Like she's got it covered.
Why would you think I wouldn't like Poison Ivy as an answer?
I don't know.
Actually, if anything, Poison Ivy's an amazing answer because her whole bit is that she's an eco-terrorist, which is very Druid.
Oh yeah.
That's
The
my
only thing
favorite
she
part
doesn't
about
have
her.
going is the element stuff. But like, she's mostly
True.
earth elements, plants.
True.
So it's like, it's fine.
True, she does
master
lack
of
the
one
elemental
element.
bit. That's why. Well, that's why I like Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Because Swamp Thing, in a lot of ways, taps into, like, at the very least, earth and water.
Oh yeah.
All right,
And-
listen.
And then Storm. So it's weird because Storm to me, because she's an
Storm-
X-Men, she feels more sorcerer. to me.
Sorcerer. Yeah, she feels like a sorcerer to
She
me.
feels
yeah.
like a storm sorcerer or something.
sorcerer.
But like I can see, I've seen people when you talk about fucking people on like builds online, shit ton of people be like, she's a storm sorcerer, she's a storm cleric, whatever the one, I forgot what it's called. She's a druid of this. So like you could do storm 1,000 different ways, phrasing with like subclasses and stuff. But
Oh, baby.
I think, I feel like because of the X-Men aspect of it, and X-Men are mutants, like I feel sorcerer like fits her more in my mind. But that's just me.
I agree.
I gotta go Poison Ivy.
I agree. I think the X-Men aspect makes her much more sorcerer-esque. But yeah, I am a little disappointed you didn't say Swamp Thing. I really thought you were going to say Swamp Thing.
I like Poison Ivy more than Swamp Thing.
Fair enough.
Swamp Thing's honestly, and my main connection with Swamp Thing was like the 90s like movie, the cartoon, and that was it.
For
I don't know what
me,
you're talking about. What the fuck?
There was an old 90s, it was a one animated movie, and then they did like I think a mini series, and it was like an old school cartoon. He had the theme song, Swamp Thing, like it was really cheesy and bad.
I have no idea. What
All
you're talking about.
right, I'll find it for you later. But
Wild.
yeah, it was nuts. And basically it was like your average 90s cartoon where, oh, the bad guys are doing a thing. Oh, the superhero comes to save the day. And then, oh no, something happens. The superhero is depowered. And then his teenage sidekicks, because every fucking superhero in the 90s had a teenage sidekick, had to help him gain his power back. And by gain his power back, he had to get water because he was fucking thirsty as shit.
he's a
And
thirsty
then
boy.
he would just get dehydrated. Like the bad guys would figure out a way to dehydrate Swamp Thing. The kids would get him water. He'd power the fuck up and then just beat the shit out of the bad guys.
Dad.
I
yeah.
see.
And then Wild Thing would be playing, but instead they just replaced it
All
with
right.
Swamp Thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll give
Also,
y'all one guess what I'm about to say.
Freya from God of War.
Not even close.
Loki from Marvel.
Not even close. All right, disappointed in
Beast Boy.
both of you. No.
Damn.
Y'all
But
really
he could turn to the silly animals.
he can turn into the animals. And I do love Beast Boy for that reason.
Wait. One more.
Uh-huh.
Chem Plant.
God damn no. Jesus Christ.
What do you mean? Sir, what do you mean Captain Planet? He's got the power of all 5 elements.
Nah.
I'm done.
I was like, hey, you want to take another shot?
No, I got nothing.
Okay, if Sam was here, he would guess exactly immediately. All right, y'all missing the low hanging fruit. Malfurion from World of Warcraft.
Literally no idea who that is.
The Druid from WoW, like the Druid, the OG.
Is he the bull man?
Bull man
on the Horde side? No. Okay, I don't know. I only know a handful of WoW characters.
I wasn't expecting you guys to know the character, but I was expecting you guys to guess that I was going to say someone from WoW. Little disappointed. Malfurion from World of Warcraft. I mean, he is literally a druid by definition. Like his class is druid, quite literally. He does.
Oh, this guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's what's his face? His
Illidan's brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does all the shapeshifting, all the nature I mean, he does literally everything a 5e druid does. He is like straight up.
He's got antlers.
The
he's
druid.
got the green beard.
Yeah. He's
nature Jesus.
Yes. In many. Well, actually, he's. He is kind of nature Jesus, actually, yes. Because nature god is Cenarius. So, yes. Yeah, he is kind of nature Jesus. I mean, he's just he's like such an easy answer that it's almost cheating. But I love Malfurion a lot because he's fucking sick. Because I felt like I had to come up with a secondary answer because Malfurion feels like cheating. My secondary answer is Radagast the Brown.
You know, I had him on here and I mentioned him earlier because I'm like, I'm not going to say him because it's like, that'd be like too easy as well.
He's my secondary answer. He hits the druid mark in so many ways. Like he fucking nails it.
He literally fucking brought a hedgehog back to life.
He did. Yes. It was amazing. I mean, him on the rabbits with the sleigh kills me.
So
Love
funny.
It. Love that shit.
Like Shanna? He's like,
although I will say Beast Boy, definitely a good example of a wild shape druid.
That's a wild shape. Yeah. No magic, just a wild shape.
Yeah. Hey, listen, in the D&D movie, the druid character did only wild shaping. So, you know.
True. Yeah.
True.
You know, it's funny. So my Blu-ray just arrived. So I was watching the movie the other day and I was like, yeah, she doesn't.
No magic.
Yeah. Like she doesn't cast any spells. I know, spoilers for the movie. Like Edwin doesn't cast any spells.
Nope, Edgin,
which is the bard. So only really the sorcerer and the wizard.
Yeah, they decided to make it so that the sorcerer is the only one who casts spells to give everyone in the party like a more distinct feel.
True,
I get it.
Yeah,
but it is kind of funny.
But my players and I, we had a big like debate. They're like, I get they wanted a bard in the movie. But like, just make him a rogue. Like, couldn't you have gotten him a knife or something? Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, it is a little weird that Edgin's a bard and not a rogue, but you know.
Yeah.
Especially because like rogues being charismatic is not that out of character.
No, I mean the swashbuckler kind of like
is that
it wants you to put yeah. It's the 1v1 guy who puts points in charisma because it helps with his initiative and everything. Yeah. And even mastermind rogues. Like, he feels more like a mastermind rogue just because of, like, the bonus action giving advantage to his allies and stuff. And not that he's tactical, but, like...
He is kind of tactical.
Just, like,
he's the plan dude. He's pretty tactical.
Yeah. He's the plan guy.
I guess the plan guy. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Whatever. I agree.
I guess because the backstabber was, the rogue, so they're like...
Yeah. All right. Have you ever played it? No, I have not played it. And the reason basically comes down to the first time I read through Druid, I got really frustrated with how limited it was, particularly with the way wild shape works and the fact that you get 2 per rest kind of bothered me. As I've played 5e a lot more and have a greater understanding of how the mechanics function, that bothers me less now, but it does still feel kind of limited. I have not played a druid.
Would you rather be like proficiency bonus wise tied?
No, I would rather it work like Dungeon World, but that's a universe that's never going to exist.
Oh fuck! So, my eye falls across the room.
I said, don't take it. For me, I think in a lot of ways, I think the problem. Maybe I should save this thought to later.
I mean,
in a lot of ways, I feel like the problem that Wizards is having with Druid has already been solved by Dungeon World. However, I don't know exactly how you would translate it from Dungeon World to 5e. I don't know.
It's that complicated of an issue, or
it's not that it's complicated. It's that Dungeon World has fundamental mechanics that operate on a different paradigm than the fundamental mechanics of 5e. Like the move system of Powered by the Apocalypse, the way the move system works is fundamentally different than how, like, Powered by the Apocalypse games are not resource management games, and 5e is very explicitly a resource management game. And so because of that, I don't see any easy way of translating it from A to B. There are certain parts of it that I think you could maybe translate, but all of it in general, I've thought about it. I don't know what the answer is. And in a lot of ways, what they were doing with the templates in 1D&D was an attempt to try and make it more in the direction of Dungeon World. But in a lot of ways, I think they missed the mark. They tried. They're trying. And I hope they land on something better. But we'll see.
Well, they said they have another iteration coming out in the playtest.
Yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately, I said this before when we were talking about the last episode you were hosting.
Our complaining episode, yeah.
Yeah, where I was basically like, listen, the game I want 5e to be is just not what the designers want it to be, and I just have to accept that. So unfortunately, what I would do to make Druid really awesome, they're just not going to do. So whatever they give me, I'm just going to have to accept, you know? That's kind of where I'm at. I do think... I don't... Do we go into this right now? I don't know.
They're all right. Write it down. We'll save it for later then.
All right.
Make sure we come back to it.
Yeah, remind me to come back. I think there's some potential with the template system.
Okay.
Matt and Isaiah, have you played the Druid?
I have played the Druid.
You played a Wildfire, right?
Yes, and I played someone else's Druid for a few sessions because they were absent, and I'm the guy who always Jaegers everything. So I have played I have played a Druid for more than just a one shot.
I played a Druid for a one shot. It was a Loxodon Circle of the Land Druid.
Why do we sound like a fucking AA meeting? I'm not. I played the Druid for a one shot.
Because for some reason, the two of you think that's some sort of punishment or something. I don't know.
It's
maybe.
Not.
I mean, I enjoyed being a giant elephant man. Although, I probably wasn't doing too well because all I did remember from the one shot was like I summoned a rhino to fight a demon. We killed a demon with my new baby rhino. Another demon spawned, murdered the shit out of my baby. I fucking cried. Never used wild shape, and then a demon ate my head. I died. Good shit. Oh, and I healed. I healed people a couple times.
A demon ate.
I
see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never. And I guess I'll save this for like when we talk about like what our favorite subclasses are. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like looking at the other subclasses and stuff, and I feel bad saying this, but there's not one that super's like.
I like how
grasp me. Like
I like how Matt went. I'll save it. Now let me explain immediately.
Well, no, because I'm not saying what. Well, I already said it earlier, but like I'm just saying in general.
You just did.
What?
Go ahead, Matt. What's your favorite subclass?
Oh, Circle of Land because it's a wizard druid. Yeah, but I will say I do like the stars. I do like the idea of the stars druid. It's really cool. I like that channel nature, but the wild shape you use that
channel nature
you use basically. That for your use that for your star powers. Your star powers, there are different ones, each one doing a different thing. It's cool, it's flavorful. You know, who doesn't like looking up at the stars and being like, Give me magic.
I'm gonna be trying real hard not to be salty, right? Isaiah, favorite subclass? I know the answer.
It's Moon.
Okay, I didn't know the answer.
Look, elementals are my favorite monster type in D&D. I just like being. I like the idea of a creature with no alignment, no skin in the game, a fundamental being of nature itself personified in given form. And it's because it's most likely it's because I just really fucking like Final Fantasy, and Phoenix and Ifrit are my boys, and also Bahamut is my boy.
16's really hitting everything for you, huh?
Yes, literally fucking like you. Yep. I could not even start to go into it with the time we have for this podcast as to why 16 is going to be so fucking hype.
I might be getting it.
16 is going to be amazing
anything about
for
Final Fantasy.
Matt, that's the whole point. Every Final Fantasy game is its own universe. You don't need to know anything. That's
I was trying to debate you and didn't fall for it.
Nice.
He's learning.
Matt, this is why you ask for death. All right, Isaiah, if you're going to make that statement, you need to justify it.
What do you mean?
You say, I hate animal shapes, but Moon Druid's my favorite. State your case before the court.
Mainly because one of the spells you get as like your free prepare is Conjure Elemental, which is the thing that I'd probably be using more often than not anyway, because why would I turn into the elemental when I can become the elemental? But if I have to turn into something, I can turn into an embodiment of nature. I don't need to be a fucking bear or like a fucking cheetah or any of the boring animals in the animal kingdom.
All right, hold on. Pause. You are literally made an incorrect statement here. Hold on, pause. You don't get any extra spells as a Circle of the Moon.
Do you not?
No.
Oh, my bad.
Literally not one.
I think druids just in general get
Circle of the
Conjure Elemental.
Yeah, well, yes, they probably do. But Circle of the Moon is all about the transformations.
It's all about wild shaping. It's all about wild shaping. You get better wild shaping earlier, and then only at level 10 do you get to turn into an elemental.
Yes.
But you have to expend 2 charges of your wild shape to do so.
All right. I need to get to the bottom of this. What is your... I understand that you like the idea of druids being nature mages. I get that you're into that. Why do you have such a deep hatred of turning into animals? I do not understand this rationale.
Because I find animals boring, quite frankly.
Okay, see, this is where I cannot reconcile with you, because animals are fucking cool in real life, so I don't understand.
Are cool, yeah, so animals are cool in real life, but what's cooler, an animal or actual fire given life? I'm gonna go with the fundamental element of nature given sentience.
This is my problem. With it. I think turning into a bear and turning into a fire elemental are about the same level of cool. Like, I don't understand why you think animals are lame. I don't get this.
I don't think they're lame, but I do think turning into a fire elemental is a little cooler than turning into a bear. Turning into a bear is cool. Turning into a fire elemental is pretty fucking...
Giant eagles,
actually
dinosaurs.
Lit. In all senses of the word, it is actually pretty fucking lit to turn into a fire elemental.
I cannot reconcile this logic when there's so many cool animals you can turn into.
I agree. There's a shit ton of them.
If you want to put it into the mechanics game, you are very hard capped at the kind of animals you can turn into in D&D.
Well, no, we already had this conversation. You're not that hard capped.
I can't turn into a T-Rex.
That's like one of the few you're missing. And you can, and you can if you're a moon druid.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I have to take the one subclass lets me turn into cool animals.
Well, yeah, because the other subclasses aren't about the shapeshifting.
Like, okay, so if you really want to talk like mechanics, most of the animals in 5e just do the same shit. They have either keen smelling or keen eyesight, and they have either dark vision or good hearing or tremor sense, and they all can do like one attack, and it's like a bite or a claw, and it always does roughly the same amount of damage, and like it dies super quick. It just
roughly same amount of damage is not necessarily true, but the other stuff, yeah. I'll give you that mechanically a lot of the animals are not super exciting, but fictionally I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I do wish they had more mechanically, which is the reason, since we're here now, the reason I love the Dungeon World Druid as much as I do is because the fictional capabilities that animals have are your power when it comes to your wild shape. It's called something different, and I think it's called shape-shifting in Dungeon World. But like, the fictional differences between a wolf and a bear are literally what gives you the different powers when you play a druid in Dungeon World, which is why I find them so much more fun than a druid in 5e, and that's why a druid gets a 3 for 5e in me, is because fictionally I love the idea of turning into all these different animals, but mechanically it is true that a lot of them feel samey. So it's I have 2 wolves inside of me and they constantly fight.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do think the elemental thing is cool, but I don't think elementals are exponentially cooler than any of the animals are.
Yeah, see, that's where I just like, I don't know. I
because
think
again, animals are cool in real life.
They are, but they're not Chewinga or fucking elementals or Myrmidons or
well, like they are though.
The
like,
Leviathan, like.
Well, you can't turn it into Leviathan, but sure.
No, you can't. But like that's.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You look at T-Rex and you look at the Phoenix. Honestly, get the fucking Phoenix out of here. The Elder Tempest and the T-Rex. What's cooler? Actual Quetzalcoatl or Angry Gecko?
I think T-Rexes are cooler. Grounded in history.
Yeah, but like Quetzalcoatl is also grounded in history, and it's theology.
Yeah, no, Quetzalcoatl is grounded in mythology. T-Rexes actually existed.
That we know.
Matt, don't.
I mean, okay, real shit.
What if they were just big birds
based on feathered serpents, which is almost certainly dinosaurs anyway.
I mean, yes, but again, Quetzalcoatl the creature is mythology. Like I have a lot of reverence for animals in real life. Like genuinely, I think animals are legit like the coolest shit on the planet. And that includes human beings. I think there's lots of interesting things about human beings too. Like the biology of real life animals and all the different weird things they can do. Like the way that the fucking mantis shrimp can just, punch his way out of a fucking fish tank, or the way that bears can like topple a tree, or the way that chimpanzees could like rip your arm off like you're made of paper. Like animals in real life do all sorts of crazy wild shit.
Oh yeah.
Like
I agree.
And when it comes to elementals, like we're just making up the cool shit they do. When I say when I'm coming up with cool animal powers, I'm using actual science.
Well,
biology.
But you know what? Yeah, but elementals, it's all magic. It's all make believe. So why not?
Because I don't like the make believe.
Why are you even playing then?
Because I like the make believe grounded in the reality.
Fucking guy.
No, it's true. Because here's the thing: when I was younger, I wanted to be a fucking zoologist and/or a marine biologist. Like
Jotaro is your favorite after all.
All right, shut the fuck up. That's the one thing I like about Jotaro. That's the one thing. That's the one point he gets in my book.
His one redeeming quality.
That's his one redeeming quality. Yeah, he's a marine biologist and he likes dolphins. I also like dolphins.
Yeah.
No, like literally, I actually legitimately like fucking love zoology in real life, which is I think one of the reasons I love druids in general. And that's why wild shaping druid, like to me, I identify with the idea of a skinwalker way more than the idea of like a Celtic druid. Like a Native American skinwalker is what I want out of a druid. Which is also why I kind of feel like there should be a shapeshifter class.
But we got the race.
Yeah, but that's like little halfsies, like, you get claws. Like,
honestly, so I like shape changing in the lycanthropic, like I merge my human self with my animal self. That's why, like, if you were like, do you like werewolves or vampires? I'm like werewolves all day, every day.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's why I think there should be a shapeshifter class, because you could do that. Like, that's what you would do if there was a shapeshifter class. I feel like that's what.
I also I like to go back to the like why I like the elementals more. For me, it just reinforces the I am a mage of nature. But like primordial nature.
It does reinforce the primordial nature aspect, sure, yes. But I don't know, like I think animals are in a lot of ways just as primordial in a lot of senses as like the elemental shit. Like, there's a lot of parody there, I feel like.
I completely forgot.
Go on, Matt. No, go.
I was gonna say I completely forgot earlier. I wanted to say, not the show, not the Witcher show, but the video game version of Mousak. Druid, fucking 100, like actual like fucking Polish druid, like nature magic, all that jazz. Whereas in the show, he was basically just like a court wizard.
Yes.
Even though they called him a druid, and it's like, and that's where I'm like, I agree with you. Where I'm like, all right, dude, you're not a druid. Get out of here.
Yes. Mousak in the games was totally a druid. Yeah. I kind of forgot. I didn't. Wait a minute. I didn't realize that was the same character.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Boy, I hate that.
Yep.
I am now realizing the two. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Video game Mousak way better. God damn. How did I not realize that was the same character? Fuck. He even looks more like a druid in the games.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a druid at all in the fucking show. He just just a court wizard.
Yeah, he's just a court wizard.
Or whatever, second in command of the queen. You know, whatever they're called.
Yeah, court wizard.
The hand of the queen.
He's a vizier.
Yeah, vizier. Yes, thank you.
That's my distinction, Matt. That's why I don't think druid should be a subclass of wizard, because of Mousak.
Well, no, if he just looked the part, then it would have been fine. But
no, because you're right. He doesn't do any nature magic either.
No.
He doesn't do nothing like that.
No. But I'm going to be that guy. But in the books and in the video game, he does.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is why Druid deserves to be its own class. And if they ever take it away from me, I'm boycotting.
I think Barbarian should be just a subclass of fighter.
That's actually monkey talk right there.
Let's just make let's just have everything be a subclass of fighter, guys. Everyone only plays fighter anyways.
You know what? Nobody saw my face right there. Nobody saw my reaction. But I literally just turned away and looked at the ground for a moment when Matt said that in disgust.
Oh shit.
If they ever take Druid away from me, I just want to be clear.
They're not going to. Well, this is the other thing.
Pause. I just want to be clear. I want this on the table. They ever take Druid away from me, D&D is dead to me forever.
No, they're not going to. And to be honest, even though my take is I think they should be a subclass, I don't actually like want that to happen. But like, it's one with D&D, like, and this is the other thing of why they're not gonna. One of the reasons I actually recently found out why they're probably not gonna make another class in general. A, because people are already homebrewing a shit ton of them out there anyway, so Wizards are like, there's no need for us to make a third one or another one.
That's a cop-out reason, but sure.
I have things that I can't say on a recorded podcast about that.
That's a cop-out.
But the other reason I found out was actually because, and as much as I love Eberron, it's because of Eberron. In the world of In the world of Eberron, the number 13 is a very like important number. There are 13 different like important events that happen, special items, characters of history, all this shit. And the 13th class of D&D right now is the Artificer that came out in Eberron. So the Wizards, they're holding their thing of like 13 is an important number because Eberron. Therefore, the Artificer is the 13th subclass or class, and it's going to be the only subclass new class we make. There's a whole video by Keith Baker.
There's a lot of things I want to say now.
There's a whole video by Keith Baker about the number 13. If anyone looks up on YouTube and shit, and it explains a lot of like why, at least for lore reasons, Wizards isn't going to make a new class. But the majority, but the main issue, the main reason is, yeah, people are just going to make other classes, so we don't have to do that shit. It's fine.
Let me just all rise for a moment while I say something very important. That's fucking stupid.
My neck muscles are actually tensing because I'm just like, ooh.
Your Honor, I'd like to bring to the court's attention. No, you. That's all.
What do you know, Ewing?
Shut up. That's fucking dumb. That is Wow, I fucking hate that so genuinely at both of those reasonings. Bro, Watsy, you can lick my scrotum right now. Get some Famunda
there goes that
cheese.
sponsorship.
Bro, that is... Whew, I'm gonna need therapy after that sentence. Oh my god. Okay. All right. I guess we'll transition into the topic of the templates, huh? Yeah. Anyone have any other thoughts you want to throw out real quick?
Nope,
Time's up.
No, I you'd think that I'd really like the wizard druid. Nah, I don't need it.
Why do you dislike the land druid?
Not that I dislike it, but everyone's like, but this will be the answer to your problem. Like, no, it won't. It really won't.
But why is it not?
Because I don't want wild shape on my character, like my abilities list. I just don't want it there. I don't need it.
I wish it would. Well, now that they have from Tasha's the wild companion thing, now even if you have wild shape on there and you play a circle land druid,
something else.
You can just use it to summon the familiar,
yes,
and there you go.
You can. So that's why I really like Wildfire. It's my second favorite.
Right. So is wild shape being on your sheet okay as long as it gets used for something else?
Sort of, because a lot of like there are things in the druid that as far as I'm concerned are sort of wasted because it goes into wild shape when I want it to do something else,
I think
so. I'll never be 100% happy because I go, oh great, this thing that I'm not going to want to use. Awesome.
But if it's wildfire druid, then you do want to use it. Like it gets used as something else. Like I don't.
It does, but that thing. Like, hold on, I'm gonna look at the druid real quick.
This feels like to me you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. I'm gonna be honest.
No, I don't think it is, but fair enough.
I don't think you could have. What do
Well,
you
if you
want?
think about it as the new thing where it's channel nature, would that be better instead? Because that's kind of what they're doing with the wild companion, where it's like, it's like, hey, listen, it's like, all right, you don't want to use wild shape, you're playing this druid, that's fine. Summon a pet fire monkey or whatever you want, there you go. Find familiar there.
Would you prefer?
And then you don't even need like the wild shape sheet. Like, you don't need to put it on your character sheet then if you're just going to use it to summon a familiar.
Like, would you prefer that like a subclass just removed it?
I would prefer if it was mainly imparted to a subclass and it wasn't a part of main druid, personally.
But what's the difference? Like, it's part of main druid or it's part of a subclass, but either way, if wildfire uses it for something else and stars druid uses it for something else and spores druid uses it for something else and shepherd druid uses it for, like, so many of the druid subclasses just use wild shape for a different thing anyway. Why is that a problem? I don't understand.
So for me, right, if channel nature was kind of like channel divinity, right, you got like 2 per whatever the fuck.
Well, you do in 1 D&D.
You do, yes. So, like, if wild shape was just part of a thing you could do, like, let's say, like, channel nature was, like, you can summon a tiny elemental, or you can turn into an animal, or you can do some, like, dope fucking I summon a circle of fire to immolate things. If it was just, like, a piece of it, then I'd be like, all right, cool. Because I could just go, all right, cool, so I'm just never going to use this thing. And I can use all these other things that I actually care about. But Druid as it is, out of like 1 D&D's nuts, it's like, here's this thing that you're not going to use, except for this one subclass where you will use it, and this other subclass where you are still using it the way that it's meant to be used, but you get the cooler version that Isaiah actually gives a fuck about.
Okay, well, cooler is entirely subjective.
But it's for my opinion, so I think it's cool.
but I feel like you're being completely unfair here because it being transformed into a different ability is basically already what you're asking for, and they're already doing that a whole bunch. Like, I feel like you're just being pedantic.
Because I want something I want from the core class and not subclasses. That's the big thing.
But what's the difference if you're just going to play the subclasses that don't need to worry about turning into animals anyway?
Because I would like the idea of not being like, well, if I play this class, I'm only ever going to play 2 things. Like, there's very few classes where I go, like, Wizard for a good example.
It's not 2 things. It's all of the subclasses except for 2 of them. Like, I mean, literally the only 2 subclasses that, or no, actually, there's 2. There's 2 subclasses that don't utilize Wild Shape for something else, and that's Land and Shepherd. Those are the only 2. Every other subclass utilizes Wild Shape in a different way and modifies it. Spores, Stars, Dreams, Wildfire, Moon, all modify it and change it. And use it for something else. Or enhance it in the case of Moon.
I don't know if Dreams does.
It does. You turn into like Dream mode. Or something. It does. I forget exactly what it does, but it does something else with it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because I remember with Shepherd, we thought it was based on Wild Shape, and it's just
I thought Shepherd was.
Shepherd
isn't.
Shepherd's just his own thing. It's just
Shepherd is dumb because it isn't based on Wild Shape, but it probably should be.
Yeah, no, I just looked through Dreams. It doesn't provide you anything. Like,
it's the same thing because it came out
Dreams
in Xanstars.
So Spores, Spores, Moon, Wildfire, Stars, all do. So there's more subclasses that do than don't.
Yes, Your Honor, I unfortunately happen to not want to play half of those.
Okay, but that's where I feel like you're being unfair. That's just I don't like what's there. That's not an intrinsic problem. That's just I don't like what they gave me there. Like,
well, fair enough, but in my original score, I did say that I don't think Druid is bad. It's just not for me. It's not what I want out of it. So I don't think I can be fair in quotations to it because much like you in D&D, it's just never going to be what I want.
There's no
so I'm just going to sort of complain about it. No, pretty much, no. Okay.
I guess. All right. Well, Isaiah, you could go take a nap then because me and Matt are going to talk about Druid now.
That's fine. You can talk about it. I'm going to have my 2 cents. Don't worry.
I don't know if I want your 2 cents now if you can't be pleased anyway.
That's unfortunate. I'm part of the podcast.
Well, what I mean is it's like your 2 cents is
because I want to hear his ideas of someone who's again, it's not for him, and someone like me who is in the middle ground.
If you just kind of dislike it intrinsically, then I feel like that almost sort of it's the same way that my opinions on Fighter are kind of invalid because I just dislike it intrinsically.
But Josh, Human Fighter.
No, I don't think you. Go on. Sorry. Please finish your joke.
That was it. That's it.
Human Fighter. That was the joke.
I don't think that you disliking Fighter it legitimizes your argument. It just might not be appropriate for certain conversations. If someone's like, oh wow, I really like Fighter, I like all the stuff that Fighter can do, and then you go, nah, let me tell you why Fighter's fucking balls. Maybe that's not the right place, but if someone's like, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to get into Fighter, I don't know if I like it too much, what do you think? And then you go, I don't know, I think it's kind of balls, and then you balls, and then you give your explanation, and that's where I think someone would be like, oh, I see what you're saying, I think I might try it still, or oh, you know what, you're right, I don't think I want to do that.
I guess. I don't really know how to transition out of this, but
you know what? You can transition out of this, Josh, by telling our lovely listeners where they can listen to his podcast on an hour and 18 minutes in because we forgot to do it in the beginning of the episode.
He fucking pulled it off, gamers.
Yeah, you know what? If you're an hour deep, for the love of fucking God, please hit subscribe or follow. Please, I beg of you. It's a simple task. It costs you nothing. It's $3 and it supports us. $3. Free.
Sick. Free?
All right, let's talk about this. All right, let's talk about the rules refresh template situation.
Okay.
Because I have some really, really conflicted feelings.
Yeah.
As the person who really wants Druid to be at its truest potential and thinks Druid's really sick and doesn't want to burn it to the ground like Isaiah, I
Oh, you put it like that.
Well, like a dog chasing cars. I just do things.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get his goat at this point. Okay. So they said, first of all, I'm really seriously starting to doubt their quote unquote analytics. I'm gonna be honest.
I never did. I never thought that
let me really substantiate this situation because, they throw out analytics quite a lot of videos, a lot of like the videos they do in D&D Beyond. Recently, they've done it in the past too, but more recently.
They never gave like hard percentages.
They've given
70% of players dislike this.
Well, so those are the survey analytics, I believe. I think those are genuine. Here's the part where I start to question things. They recently said, Jeremy Crawford recently said in one of those videos that they did that most players, that was the word he used, most players don't use feats. Those are his words.
Yeah, that one.
I genuinely do not believe that analytic.
Which is weird because with all the steps that they're doing to make feats an integral part of the game, making it like, again, now everyone gets a feat at level 1. Now, well, like it's a main shtick. Whereas before, most people, what's the number one homebrew house rule most people fucking do besides probably health potions with bonus action? Everyone gets a level 1 feat. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
people like feats.
The reason that the reason Jeremy Crawford claimed that they were making feats a mandatory, or there was mandatory is a strong word, but the reason Jeremy Crawford said they were pushing feats at level 1 is because basically nobody uses feats and we think they're really a cool part of the game, so we're going to force you to use them.
Right.
He said it a little nicer than that, but that's pretty much what he said.
But which I think. I don't want to call him a liar, but I also don't want to call him a truther, to quote Isaiah. I think it's because there are specific feats that people pick every fucking time.
Yeah.
And then there are other feats that nobody touches with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
And he wants people to touch the ones with a 10-foot pole, and that's why they're updating them. Like, the new alert, so cool. I want it. Old alert,
it's okay.
Yeah,
I think, like, I mean, we don't need to. The feats are not.
We don't have to go through all of them, but yes, I think what he probably means is. Yeah, no, go for it.
They're taking a weird tack. They're basically like, oh, you don't use this thing, we're gonna make you use it.
Yeah,
which is a little weird, which
is weird because then also, if you think about it, by forcing people to use feats, but then your analytics say that most people don't use feats. Yeah, you are. You're pressing upon this mechanic that people don't normally do.
Yeah, which is why.
Which is weird.
This is where I just don't believe that analytic, because that analytic is coming from D&D Beyond, right? Think about how many other places people play the game. At the table with character sheets, Roll20, Foundry, Yep. People use PDFs on their phone. There's so many other ways that people play the game that don't involve interacting with D&D Beyond that will not give those analytic numbers, right? And then even within D&D Beyond, how many people are creating a campaign that says feats allowed, and then someone just makes a character real quick for funsies and doesn't give that character a feat or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's not a real character anyone's playing in a game. They're just like making it to save it on a campaign or whatever. People do that all the time. Yeah. So I think your analytics are just not a good enough sample. Now, the reason I bring this whole analytics thing up is because they said Druid is the least played class. And they said Druid is the least played class because it's too complicated.
Which has been
I just don't believe it.
Well, no. So I'll actually back them up with that one, because that was a thing I've been hearing since playing 5e, since meeting other people, since watching streams about it. Anybody that like picks Druid as a subclass, they're always like, it was a little weird at first, but I think I got the hang of it. Like, there's always that
But let me tell you,
and I don't know if it's balancing all the monsters like you can shape change into on top of your spells, and then on top of that your subclass shit, whichever one you picked. So it might be it's juggling too many plates for newer players to pick. That could be the only thing I can think of.
Here's my beef. I have two beefs with this situation. First of all, a class being complicated is not intrinsic. Like, a class being picked less because it's the hard to play class is not an intrinsically bad thing.
No.
That's not a bad thing. Isaiah, take a shot, because we're about to bring up fighting games. There's always going to be the finesse character in a fighting game.
Really said, Isaiah, don't drink anymore. He said,
take a shot.
Don't actually take a shot. Don't actually take a shot. But there's always going to be the most complicated character in a fighting game, and they're what a lot of people refer to as the finesse character or the sauce character. And that character will often have the lowest play rate because they're the hardest to use, so a lot of people don't want to deal with it. In Street Fighter 6, that's JP and DJ to some degree. These are the two finesse characters, and nobody's playing them except at the higher levels. Low levels, you see no JPs. High levels, ton of JP. Because he's hard to play.
Yeah.
Druid being complicated and not played as much because they're complicated, why is that a bad thing? That's not something that needs fixing.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Whether
Wizards does.
Wizard thinks it's
Wizards seems to think so.
Well, their goal is they want to try and make new players be able to sit down like you do with fighters, like you do with rogues, like you do with other classes, and be able to understand it because they want to onboard new people easier.
No, I get that.
New people into the game.
Every class doesn't have to be fighter. Like, there's no reason. Like, the whole reason that fighter is simple is because the other classes are more complicated. So if you want to pick the simpler class, fighter is there for you. Barbarian is there for you. Why what I want to know what Wizards wants. Does Wizards want every class to have an equal play rate? That's stupid. That's fucking stupid.
I mean, honestly, yeah, probably.
That's fucking dumb. Like, no.
Probably, I would imagine a lot of game companies would want that.
Easier than others. That's the whole point. The whole argument for fighter being the way it is because of the mythical little brother who wants to play D&D. So we made fighter a simple class. And if you want to play the more complicated class, you can play druid or wizard. That's the whole point. What is, like, this idea that everyone's gonna have an equal pick rate is fucking stupid. It's dumb. Like, that's bad game design. That's not how that works. Let there be variation. Do crazy shit. That's the whole fucking point. It's so dumb. And also,
Isaiah, thought before Josh keeps going?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm sort of the opinion that you should be you should be able to have the character where it's like, okay, you want to try to go like real technical with it. Here's this, but there is something to be said about what is the like quote unquote barrier to entry. If it's perceived as far too high, then yes, I think you need to do some work to bring it down.
I don't think it is in 5e though. That's the thing.
You might, but they probably do, and I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with them being like, okay, we'll bring it back a little bit. We'll try to make it a little more user-friendly so people who want to start off and really like Druid can do that. Because otherwise, you get stuck with we'll just get good forehead, which no one likes. Or Druid's, you really want to play a shapeshifter? Yeah, well, sorry, Druid's just not for you, bud.
All right, listen.
Neither of them are good, and neither of them...
All right, I'm about, you know what? I don't remember if it was Isaiah or Matt. One of you said, Matt, you said some controversial shit. I'm about to say some controversial shit. Let's go. All right. Just get good forehead response. You know what? Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes.
You don't want to say that because I'm going to use it against you and you're going to hit me with some salt.
Listen, sometimes a high barrier to entry that requires work is worth it and it's more gratifying. This is the entire premise of the Souls games.
Yeah, but the Souls games weren't good because they didn't have story and stuff. And now, thanks to Elden Ring, and there actually is a story involved.
Categorically untrue, but okay.
Yeah, Matt, I'm just going to ignore everything you just said.
But like,
listen,
I think
sometimes it be like that. There is a reward to putting in the work to learn how to do the more complicated thing. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I think
that's how it goes sometimes. And
yes, but I think with Wizards, and I don't remember if it was Mastering Dungeons or one of the other podcasts that you and I listened to have said this. The most complicated that Wizards of the Coast wants to get with their classes is the wizard.
That was me.
Druid. That was you?
That was me who said that.
Okay. Because I actually just heard that on one of the podcasts too. I don't remember. Because they maybe, also said that.
I said that, yeah.
But I think that's where that's the bottom, that's the baseline of their complexity. And I think when they originally made Druid, they might have thought that it was easier, but like, again, this is just me assuming, and me from like my years of experience playing in other games, playing in random one-shots with people, hosting games. Yeah, Druid's the least played class, it's the least picked, because unless people wanted, the animal shape or whatever, it's a lot of balancing plates. And I think people, get all that mixed up and they're like, it's too much for me, or they're scared of it or whatever.
Honestly,
yeah, sure. The get good thing, it depends on the game, honestly, dude. I don't think 5e should. I don't think 5e should be that kind of game.
I think 5e can be that. There's no reason 5e can't be that kind of game.
Well, no,
because we already have.
You can add that. You can add it yourself, at your personal table, and that's the thing.
I have to make Druid more complicated to have fun. That's bullshit.
If you want to, I think there are people out there who right now play Druid and they like it. It's just the right amount of complexity. There are people who are probably like, I wish this was more complex. I wish I can do more things. And then from what the charts are saying, a majority of people who are like,
I don't believe these charts. I don't. Especially because, okay, here's my thing. The other thing I was going to say is, Jeremy Crawford says nobody plays Wizards because it's too or nobody plays Druid because it's too complicated. I think Wizard is just as complicated as.
I was actually going to say I think Wizard is more complicated, but
I think if not more, I think they're the same. You know why I think Druid's the least played? I think people just aren't as into the fantasy of a Druid. I think it's really that simple. Like,
maybe
I hate to pull out it's that shrimple, but like when people talk about like cool fantasy things, a wizard, shit like Gandalf, despite our opinions of him being a druid, is way more iconic than like, Radagast the Brown type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there is more of a fantasy that people relate to more with wizards. It's just more iconic. More people want to try out a wizard. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of it comes down to the fantasy of it. And the quote unquote complexity of a druid, which is to say, and the complexity that Jeremy Crawford was specifically pointing to is the wild shape, right? He said himself, it's too complicated because of wild shape. That complexity is incredibly easily mitigated if your dungeon master just sits down and said, here's the monster manual, just write down everything that says beast that you think is cool.
Well, now with Xanathar's Guide, they did that for you. They gave you in Xanathar's Guide, in the Druid section specifically, every beast.
Yeah.
From CR0 to the highest one.
Yeah.
Or whatever you can
all you need to
into.
write down is a couple of, like, a good chunk of them that you think are cool or interesting, and then just turn into those. Like, the complexity of the Druid is like the first session or two, you have to look up which animals you want to turn into. And then after you have your repertoire, you're not going to really need to look at the list again, especially if you're playing on like Roll20 or some shit. Your GM could just hand you the animal sheet. It's easy.
When Sammy was the barbarian totem moon druid multi-class, I literally was, this was when I was using Roll20 for free and I couldn't like afford to like keep uploading art and shit.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, so pick like 3 or 4 animals, please, and then like so I don't have to keep making tokens for you. Well, and she's like, that's fine. I don't really need that many anyways.
I mean, you didn't necessarily have to make a token for everyone, but sure, yeah. You could have just had one generic token. Yeah,
and to be fair, she only really changed into like
3 things.
3 or 4 things, yeah.
Because that's usually
like,
what
and later in the game, it was T-Rex, bear, or mammoth.
Yeah, exactly. Because you go,
Or
I
a
think
wolf
this animal's
or something.
cool, I think that animal's cool, and I think that animal's cool, and I'm going to stick to those because most of the time you don't need the other ones. You're like, you're like, I'm going to pick one flying animal, one ground animal, maybe a swimming animal, another ground animal. That's usually what you end up doing, you know? And then if you're a moon druid, you'll pick an elemental you like of the 4, which is like not that many to choose anyway. So it's like, yeah, I think I would argue that if you're taking into account Wizard's ability to like copy down spells and all that, which is kind of the Wizard's bread and butter in a lot of ways, that I would argue is more complicated and more shit to do because you have to do more math and figure out more things and calculate gold and components and all that crap. You know what I mean? Like, also,
well, I think it's also rough because the complexity is knowing what spells are good, what spells can wait. Because if you don't take, for example, Counterspell or I would argue Find Familiar because of the help action, but other people would disagree with me.
Well, no, people would agree with you because of the Owl Familiar.
Yeah,
with Flyby.
You know, what other ones? Shield,
Magic Missile,
Magic Missile.
If you're smart, Prestidigitation, and that's the big one. If you're smart. Not even smart. If you're creative and you know how to cheese the game, Prestidigitation is ridiculous. Because you can go, like actually not breaking the game. You can learn Keen Mind, right? You memorize anything perfectly that you've seen within 30 days. And then all you have to do is look at the guard's keys and Prestidigitation a real key that can really work. And you'll get it perfect. Because that's what the rule literally says. Like, no, nothing. Like, oh, you have to go to this great mission to like steal the key. No, I don't. I just made the fucking key. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean?
I don't remember. I don't know if Zbashu still has the video up on his YouTube, but he made a great video on Prestidigitation. It's basically like, why is it the most creative and useful spell in the game? It's so cool.
I agree.
Yeah,
I've cheesed a lot with Prestidigitation.
I've heard every argument and I disagree. But anyway. Yes, there's a huge knowledge barrier with Wizards. There's a lot of like understanding what's good and what's not. And I suppose you could sort of make the argument about that with Druid and like picking which animal is effective, but it's pretty easy to figure out which animals are good. You know, you can look at the bear stat block and be like, oh, he hit hard and have lots of HP. I picked that one. You know, like it's pretty easy. So all of this is to say, to mitigate this perceived problem that I don't believe is a problem. Oh, one other thing. The other reason I don't believe this is a problem is because the idea that, oh, the Druid needs to be less complex because it's getting too underplayed or whatever. There's already several classes that occupy that simple area. Fighter, Barbarian, Rogue, Monk. I think all cover the like easier to play class options. You know what I mean? And also, everyone's like, oh, Druid is really hard. What about Cleric? Hello? I feel like Cleric is actually the class that I've had to do the most thinking for.
I think it's because of the whole prepared spell list thing where it's like you get every spell. I have to go through every spell where you can pick the ones you're always going to pick and then like
you can
leave the rest. Yeah.
But if you want to be like effective.
Well, I would say for me, the thing that makes Cleric easier than Druid is that a lot of Druids, like, you know, their main shtick, right? Their spells. A lot of them are not as clear as they could be. They require more thought than than Clerics, right? Like, Clerics can just fucking heal. And they can heal a lot. But if you look at a lot of Druid spells, like, oh yeah, well this thing heals, but like not as much, but it's like kind of better in this way, but it's not. A lot of their stuff is,
Goodberry.
Yeah, see, stuff like that.
I've seen a lot of people take Goodberry thinking it's a healing spell when it's
exactly not. Like or like Call Lightning does not work indoors if you have a low roof. That sucks. They don't have any like bring people back to life spells.
They don't get Revivify?
No, they have Resurrection. Sorry, no, they have Reincarnation, which is not very good, in my opinion. If you're like, Agent of Chaos, I want to come back as a fucking kobold. Well, I hope you roll on that chart well, or the GM's nice and just gives you kobold.
I think reincarnation's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say but also Isaiah doesn't like wild magic shit, so it's like
exactly, yeah. So
the same. It's tables, yeah.
Like if
I think Isaiah needs to learn to embrace the chaos a little bit more.
Well, no, he's got trauma.
Absolutely not. If you want to,
he's got trauma from too many wild tables.
Exactly. If you want to cheese
it, they do get revivify.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Do they? Yes. I distinctly remember being in a campaign where the Druid was arguing that they should get Revivify because they
might have added it in Tasha's,
I believe they added it.
Optional variant classes Druid. Also Wildfire Druid gets Revivify.
Okay, Wildfire.
So yeah, it was
Tasha's subclass. I'm not considering that. I'm not saying that I won't consider. I just wasn't considering it when I said that statement.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they do. But again, a lot of their spells, not particularly clear, very situationally useful, whereas a lot of cleric stuff is just useful. It's just good. Yeah. Like, yeah, they've got some duds like Thaumaturgy, but even then, Thaumaturgy can be pretty cool.
They get true resurrection, but
clerics? Yes.
No, druids.
Yeah.
Druids and clerics get true resurrection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When was the true resurrection added?
It wasn't. Base game.
That's always been
Cleric and Druid are the only two classes that get true resurrection, and then if you're the Divine Soul Sorcerer, you get it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's just really late, like to get.
I mean, yeah, it's a ninth level spell, but like,
and if you're not using optional rules, the only bring someone back to life spell you get is reincarnation, and that's not a level 20. Let me specify. You get reincarnation and then true resurrection. Awesome.
No.
Don't they get healing spirit?
Can't bring back
ranger
to life.
Gets that. Oh, well.
Okay. Reincarnate is considered transmute. Interesting choice.
So, yeah, not that they're not good, but they are. You need to have a pretty complex understanding of the ins and outs of spells to begin with, to feel comfortable with the Druid spell list, in my opinion, versus Cleric, who's just like, oh yeah, what's this? Fucking Flame Strike? Oh, it's just summon a pillar of fire. Oh, it's half radiant too? Sick. Like, you know?
I suppose. I would say that's like half and half, I guess. Like, yeah, there are some trap picks for Druid. Well, I guess I would argue, I think probably the big difference is that if you take a trap pick as a cleric, like if you take a shitty spell, because you're a prepared caster, you can swap it out.
You can, and you
Druid,
can make
you
the same.
Cannot.
Druids are prepared casters.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're prepared.
Oh,
that's the thing. Cleric and Druids, they have the thing where they have all the spells in their spell list that they can pick from. But that's why in the morning when you take a long rest as a Druid or a Cleric, you have to sit through each one and be like, oh fuck, all right, what are we doing today? Oh god, I have to pick all these. I didn't think
Druids were, but
yeah. That actually, hilariously enough, that was, I'm not trying to speak for her, but I believe that's what Marisha Ray's big thing with Keyleth was she was like, I just got really overwhelmed by the number of spells.
Yeah. Because you have the full spell. Same thing. I didn't know that too with paladins, because I thought paladin was like, I thought it was just I just have a limited amount of spells. It's like, no, you're like cleric and druid. Like you have all the spells, and you have to pick from, but you only get 2 spell slots that you're most likely going to use for smites. And it's like, fuck. And I'm like, no, all these so many choices that I will ignore.
Either way, all right. Fuck. God damn it. Oh, took too long to get the damn templates. All right. The template thing.
Yeah.
This was an attempt to quote unquote make the Druid easier to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was misguided. No, not misguided. Wrong word. I think they were trying, and I get what they were going for, but they missed the mark. Because I actually don't hate the idea of having a template and then using that template to decide what you transform into as a druid. Because in a lot of ways, the way the Dungeon World Druid works is kind of a template, because you always use the move the same way. So I'm not necessarily against that premise. And it is true that if you're the druid player and you don't think ahead, which, I mean, you're being a little lazy if you don't, but let's say you don't think ahead and don't look at the monster manual and write down a couple of animals and then print out a few stat blocks, which, by the way, if you're a druid player and you're playing at an actual physical table, yeah, just print out the animal stat blocks that you usually turn into so you have them on hand to just, like, relieve your DM of some stress, because it's just easier.
Or if you have some extra cash, they do make the cards. They're pretty nice.
Yeah, those two. It's like, yeah, just have that shit on hand, in the same way that if you're a wizard player, know what the spells you usually use do. This goes back to that, like, asking players to be aware and, like, put in a little bit of work, which Wizard seems to think is a bad thing, to ask players to put in work. Anyway, I'm not going to go on that rant. The template thing, it's like, I get it. They were like, animal of the land, animal of the sea, animal of the sky. These cover your templates. You get some powers, and you can just describe the animal to look like whatever you want. You want to be a land animal that's a wolf or a bear or whatever, or you want to be an air animal. It's like, you're an eagle or a falcon or a canary. Yeah, all cool, all good. The problem is that you're ignoring the part that I think is cool about turning into the animals, which is the fictional differences between animals. Like, in real life, a bear and a wolf don't fight the same way or hunt the same way. You know what I mean? An eagle and a falcon are not the same thing. Like, they're similar, obviously. They're not the literal same. So it's like you're completely ignoring one of the parts that is actually the cool bit about turning into animals. But yeah, it is annoying if you have to ask your GM, be like, hey, can I have the monster manual real quick? And also, I guess if you don't trust your players, you could have a situation where that player decides to, like, leaf through real quick and look at the monster you're currently fighting. But if you have that kind of trust issue at your table, you got other problems, y'all. I think what they should try and do with the templates, and we'll see, maybe they will, is I think the template should kind of work like, I don't know, weapon mastery, sorta, where you turn into an animal and then you pick and choose a bunch of, like, options that are powers related to the animal. So, for example, it's like activate wild shape. You get a base template and the stats are whatever, maybe proficiency bonus plus your stats, blah, blah, blah. And then you have a bunch of selections. So let's say, like, one of the options is burly animal. You turn into an animal that's large and tough at, double your HP. Well, you're wild shaped. And then one selection says pack animal. You get pack tactics while turned into your form. Another option says, like, vicious stalker. You get a proficiency in stealth or expertise if you already have it when you turn into your form. Give me a bunch of options to pick and choose to make my customized animal, and then I will describe what animal I turned into based on the option. So if I choose burly animal and vicious attacker, I will describe how I turn into a bear or a big boar. You know what I mean? And then it's like, if I choose stealthy hunter, I'll describe how I turned into a panther. Like, that's, I think, the direction they should go. But I think they're probably not gonna, because Wizard seems to think that making choices is too hard.
Honestly, I don't think that's what it is. I'm gonna be real.
You don't think?
I don't really... No, I don't think it's that it's making choices too hard. Honestly, I don't really know what I think the answer is, but I don't think it's that.
You don't think what I said is a good idea, or you don't think they're gonna do it?
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's their mindset. I don't disagree with anything else but that.
Oh, you don't think the reason they're avoiding it is because choice is hard? You think they're avoiding it for something else?
Personally,
I think
I do.
People, no, go for it.
No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I think one of the complaints I remember hearing about was it's too similar. Like, the stats are too similar to one of the new Tasha spells.
Yeah, they're the same. They're the same stats as the Tasha's Ranger. animals.
Yeah.
That's
And everyone's like, the fuck?
primal companions. They're the same.
The primal companion. Yeah, and everyone's like, why? Why is this?
That's one
like,
problem.
There's already in a
That's only a small part.
And that was another complaint when people with the trice or the dinosaur summoner druid that's not going to be in the giant book anymore. Sag. Like people were complaining about that too. Yeah. Everyone's like, the fuck?
That block.
And then the same thing with the what was the animal headed race they were playing with for a while. That was in the play test.
Ardlings.
Yeah. Ardlings, yeah. People said the same fucking thing. They're like the templates are like, it's the Fairly Odd Parents. If everyone's a great blob, everyone's just boring. Like the templates are this. They're just boring gray blobs. They're the same.
They are pushing genericness for the sake of ease of use and quote unquote simplicity. But that generic. But when you make everything too generic, it just feels boring. Like if you're gonna give me the same stat blocks for my wild shape as you're going to give my ranger for their animal companion, then what the fuck is the difference from me playing a druid to a ranger? Like you're making them interchangeable in a way. And what's gonna happen if you make them both generic? People are gonna look at it and go, all right, statistically, which one does the better numbers? Oh, the ranger? All right, I'll pick the ranger. Oh, the druid? Okay, I'll pick the druid. You know what I mean? That's what's gonna happen if you make them super like they're designing them like a. Are y'all gonna get mad if I make another fighting game comparison here?
I mean, you're gonna do it anyway, so like, I guess not. But
they're designing them like functions. Okay, so I have to explain this a little bit. So back when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was coming out, a lot of people were mad that there were no X-Men characters and no Fantastic Four characters that were going to be in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And one of the devs said, oh, well, it's okay because the reason people like Doctor Doom in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is because he has triangle jumps and foot dives. That's just his function as a character. So if we just give that function to a different character in Infinite, people will be happy. At which point a bunch of people went, no, I like Doctor Doom, the character. It's not about his function, right? So it's like, if you make the druid just or any of the classes, really, this could apply to any of the classes. If you make them just a bag of functions and don't pay any mind to what makes them fictionally cool, then everyone's just gonna be like, this is lame. You know? That's really the issue with the templates. If you make them too generic, then it just becomes, oh, Druid and Ranger are pretty much the same thing. All right, which one's better, I guess? You know? Like, you boil them down to their most basic components and you kill the flavor. You know? It's like, yeah, you can eat unseasoned chicken. It will give you nutrients and you will survive. But you're going to get really bored of that unseasoned chicken at a certain point. You know? Like, it's like, you gotta add some fucking flavor. Like, that's why the term flavor exists in tabletop games, because it's important. You have to add the seasoning to the chicken. This metaphor is getting a little strange.
Honestly,
am I making sense here?
You do, and I think my not so hot take is what I think the fucking wild shape templates should be is you take an actual animal from the stat block and you just merge it with a template. You know? Because that way you can guarantee, because not all fucking beasts have an attack.
Right.
And you go, oh yes, you get an unarmed strike and it does 1d plus you whatever the fuck. No one fucking cares. Fuck you. Suck a dick. If you can guarantee some damage, that makes every animal feel like, oh, well, I'm not fucking myself in my party if I play a crow, because the crow can still peck or shred or claw or whatever the fuck, you know? You can do whatever you want with it. A bear is not going to feel crappy because it's got, for example, like resistance to damage. I mean, a bear is a pretty good choice pretty much overall, but like, you know what I mean? A wolf won't feel kind of crap, and I'm going to be real, wolves feel kind of crappy in 5e because they don't have any cool, like, they have pack tactics, that's it. They're just generic canine with pack tactics.
The bite attack that, like, knocks people prone, I've seen that used so often, it's great. good for like tactics. It's good for memes. Like,
it might work great, but it doesn't. For me, that doesn't feel great because the saving throw is not very high. I think they only get 1 bite around, and if it's like you can, like no, I'd rather just cast a spell. You know, I like the idea of like sure, give it the prone, give it back tactics, but give it a designated hit. Give it cool shit that makes it like ooky spooky magical animal.
Well, the bite is the designated.
It is, yes. But like, guarantee the designated hit no matter what, and let each animal flavor the designated hit the way it wants. Let's say a bear's like claw, because bears are fucking humongous, and they can just smack the crap out of you and send you flying 10 feet back on every hit. That'd be cool as fuck, you know?
I don't know if like, yeah, I mean, you're kind of saying something that's not that different from what I was saying, which is to say like pick and choose special abilities to give to your generic stat block. I don't know if combining it with existing animals is going to work. That might be a little tricky from a mechanical design standpoint. But you could just, I mean, in combination with what you're saying and what I'm saying, you could just take all of the abilities that are on the beast stat blocks, like in the game already, and just put those on the list for the druid to pick and choose from.
You could do that. I wouldn't hate that either. And so that way you could make every single animal feel completely unique because you could designate what they could do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You could pick and choose like, oh, choose 2 options. All right, I'll take pack tactics from the wolf and the claw attack from the bear.
And, you know, if someone's going to argue, but that could get real broken. Cool. Make druids more worth it.
There is an argument to be made that druids are maybe a little too strong already, but yeah, I don't care about that.
Well, when they get to higher level. Well, yeah, all right. So when it comes to moon druid, yeah, because again, someone who's experienced multiple barbarians and
mammoth and dinosaurs. Yeah.
Well, the mammoth thing that was funny. That was just mean, but like.
No, but the mammoth is a strong stat block.
Oh yeah, it's a very strong stat block. Yeah, but that's again, they don't get access to that to like higher levels. So at that point, it's fine. But even lower levels, like
I mean, low level a bear is kick ass.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, they're so strong.
Yeah, I mean, a black bear is beefy boy, and then you have like later on you have cave bear and shit. Yeah, it's, actually maybe you can't get a cave bear, but either way, you can definitely get a brown bear though. I will say, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the druid being kind of strong. Like, I've said before, balance can kind of eat it, prioritize it that much. So yeah, like, yes, make them kind of strong. It's fine. And there is maybe I will say the one thing that the druid does from a balance standpoint that I could see an argument for being an issue is that because a druid can be such a good tank, they do like, because the animals give you so many options. You could turn into a bear, but you could also turn into a bird, but you can also turn into a bug, but you could also turn into a fish. It does give them this issue where they kind of step on the other class's toes quite a bit. So there is sort of that problem. But at the same time, that feels like an almost unsolvable, like the only way you could really solve that problem is to just completely take away wild shape from them. And like, that's not really an option. So yeah, you kind of have to accept that scenario.
It is an option. Everyone's just a coward.
It's not an option because most people like wild shape, Isaiah. Most people are not in your camp.
Cowards. All of them.
No. You're being rude. But anyway.
Rude to who? Our audience?
I mean, me. I'm right here. But anyway, not the point.
You know, he's memeing, honey.
Sure.
I mean, it's his actual opinion, but he's also like his phrasing, so you're good.
Sure. Point being, the perceived power of the whole thing is like, yeah, I don't know. It's sort of like you have to accept it to a certain degree. again, unless you're gonna I suppose if you do what Matt does and just make the druid a fucking wizard subclass, then I guess that fixes the whole problem. I suppose.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
I hate that option, but I suppose that fixes it technically.
Do it live.
I will say the other thing that people really hated about the fucking templates is the fact that you didn't get bonus HP in any way. So the whole thing where the druid turns into an animal, takes all the animal damage, and then reverts back wasn't a thing anymore. Which I think is quite dumb.
As a DM,
nah,
I would kind of be okay with that.
Also,
happening.
as a DM, I'm not okay with that. That's dumb.
Agree to disagree.
Nah, that's dumb. They should be able to like have the buffer of the animal form, because it's gonna feel really weird if you like turn into a big gorilla, but you don't get any tougher.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it is that thing where, because druids are mighty squishy outside of their animal shape.
Fictionally, it doesn't check out.
Well, I think of it more like this, right? You spend one of your 2 wild shapes to turn into like a mammoth, but your mammoth has 20 HP, and then you get knocked out of one of your only 2 things per long rest. Well, until level like 8.
It's worse than that, Isaiah. You don't even get knocked out of it in the so like in the 1 D&D playtest.
Oh, you continue to use your hit points.
You use your own hit points, so when you hit 0, you just go down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I say you get knocked out of it, it's like, oh, cool, I just turned into this awesome thing. Oh, wait, I'm out of HP because I got one shot.
Fireball.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Wasted.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, it totally wastes your power, essentially. And I'm not even saying they necessarily have to get, like, bonus HP. Like, a lot of people said, what if they got temporary HP for animal shape? That's fine. That's a happy medium I could accept, especially because you can't heal temporary HP. So you could make an argument for like, oh, well, so they can't heal it. So that sort of balances it out. I'll take that one. But you can't give them no bonus. They got to give them something. Something. Because, it's like one of the main reasons to use Wild Shape is that bonus HP pool. That's a huge part of it. Yeah, so, I get what they were going for on the Druid templates, but yeah, I hope they do revisit it and they really consider, especially because when you're giving the fighter weapon masteries, and one of the abilities that the fighter get is the ability to swap out their weapon masteries on a long rest like a spell, then give the fucking Druid the option to change what like animal powers they have. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that different. Basically, if the rules refresh, they go with the Druid that we saw currently. I'm gonna just play the old Druid. I'm gonna just say nah and play the OG Druid. That's where I would
not blame you. There's quite a few things where I'm like, I'd rather play the alone. So. Oh,
I never said my favorite subclass. It's the Moon Druid for me. Side note, if anyone was curious, because I like turning into the animals. I actually don't care that much about the elemental part.
Nah.
Elementals are cool, but like, I like the Moon Druid because shapeshifting is cool in general.
They are.
So I guess I'll ask you guys, do you like in the playtest the elemental animal thing then? Where it's like they're kind of combining it?
Oh, no. I don't think I saw that actually.
Basically, they, instead of turning into a fire elemental, they were like, you turn into a fire wolf or a fire bear or a fire eagle. Like you turn into an animal with the elemental thing.
Gross.
I don't know if I'd say gross, but yeah, I think you should just turn into a elemental.
So because you're telling me I have to choose between flaming chicken or 10-foot tall behemoth made of fucking stone.
Well,
why?
No,
I mean, hold up. Because what if you're playing a Moon Druid now and you flavor that when you turn into a giant, a fire chicken, that it's a large size chicken of fire. Yeah, it's an elemental.
Also, I believe if I remember correctly,
found art
in the rules refresh, they didn't like restrict what that elemental form looked like necessarily, so you could turn into like a 10-foot tall bear made of fire.
Yeah.
It didn't really change it that much necessarily. Like,
it's basically just you're not an elemental, air quotes.
You're not like you're not an
elemental, but you shape it wherever the fuck you want.
You're not elemental. The stat block is the main difference.
Yeah.
And
but I like the elemental stat blocks.
I think they just didn't
Same.
want you using the elemental stat blocks because they're really strong.
But like, I think
it's a fifth level of spell ability. It should be fucking good.
Level
well,
10.
no, not even it. It's not even that. It's you get at 10th level, which is most people's end of the campaign, and it requires you to spend both of your wild shapes to do so.
Yes, but like
That's
if you
a lot of give.
True.
To like, yeah.
But
And
also,
yeah,
if you
it's
turn
powerful.
into a fire elemental, you do get 102 extra hit points.
Yeah.
So you do effectively double your health. So you know.
So my argument to that is when I said 5th level, I meant spell level 5th.
Well, it's not a spell.
No, but conjure elemental is. So if you get it at the same level, that elemental is not going to be as good as the elemental spell elemental. So I don't want it. I feel like you've just taken something from me and then put a shiny coat of paint on it. Was like, but look, it's new. It's like I don't really care. I like the old ones.
Well, yeah, I don't
You
remember.
also-
I don't remember if they made it explicitly weak or not per se. Like I know, like they didn't let you use the elemental stat block specifically, but I don't know if it was strictly weak or like I don't remember exactly how it worked out because it was kind of a weird. It's that playtest came out. I'd have to find it again. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, it's that is true though that the conjure elemental spell does exist, so it does make it like feel a little like it's like if I can use conjure elemental to summon an elemental, or I can turn into this off-brand discount we have elementals at home version. Yeah, it's like why wouldn't I just take conjure elemental instead? I guess there's the concentration argument is the only thing I could really think of on that one, but like
so I hate the concentration argument so much because more often than not it's just GMs being assholes. Because I've had this happen to me several times where no matter what the fuck is going on, when I lost my concentration on the conjure elemental spell, it immediately stopped everything it was doing and targeted me, despite the fact that there are enemies everywhere. And the GM had all enemies stop attacking it to fuck me specifically. It is a dick move. You should not do it.
I've never done that to you.
Did I say it was you?
You did say most of my GMs, so you sort of implied.
No, I didn't.
Not.
You're just saying that. I did not.
He's not targeting you specifically because I've heard the other stories.
Well, listen, I don't know. It's a little hard to take it when I'm the only GM you currently have right now.
You could just take it as, oh, that's not me.
Well, but it kind of sounds like you're saying it's me.
How?
Have you done
Genuinely
No,
how, my friend?
I haven't. But like,
that? There you go. Then you don't need to be offended. He's not talking about you. You haven't done it, so you're good, dude. You don't worry. But to go back, I've had that happen in my games, except with instead of conjure elemental, conjure greater demon, and it would always be my player who would do this. Anytime he lose concentration on it, because it's a fucking demon, the demon would attack whatever is nearby, and the player 9 times out of 10 always used to make sure the demon was way on the other side of the fucking map.
On the other side of the fucking map, yeah.
He's like, I'm going to send him the fuck all the way over there. And if I lose concentration, that's the other side of the map's problem and not mine.
I've done this. This is really funny. Common conjure minor demon is just like, you just summon like 12 closets and just let it do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
There was a situation where I cast the spell like 4 times and then just dimension door out. And I was like, that's not my problem anymore.
You're like, I'm just going to go up on a ledge and then I'm just going to, take 4 turns to cast the spell, dropping concentration every time, and then I'm out. Peace.
Yes, that's literally what I did.
Take it.
Who did I do that for? I think I did that for Cardell.
Oh,
If
sad.
it wasn't for Cardell, it was for he's in my in my server. His name is Killian. I think I did that for him.
Oh my god.
I did it for someone. Who did I do that for? Either way, it was fucking hilarious.
Fucking. Yeah, no, the summoning. All right, actually, wait. Random question for you guys, because do you guys prefer the conjuring spells or the summoning spells? Because I kind of flip flop between what I like and don't like. And originally, before Strixhaven, like before I was gonna run the Strixhaven game, one of the homebrew house rules I was gonna have was just like, hey, let's just ignore the conjuring spells. Let's just only use the summoning spells for love of God. That they're easier to use. You know, it's I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about 32 snakes. But then one of my players was really like, hey, I specifically am building this thing and I want to take conjure animals or something later. And I'm like, all right, never mind. I'm just going to ignore that house rule then. Fuck me.
I like the conjure ones more. I will like obviously the summon ones have more use because they don't flip out on you, and they've got some really cool customized little, like, you know, you get the 3 different forms and each form has its own cool little thing. They're probably more useful, but I like conjure because you can upscale it.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's all fun and games until you drop a Myrmidon on somebody and everything goes kind of buck wild. Because why does the thing made of fire have a sword? It's a little broken, don't you think? And the thing it does like the fucking Indiana Jones sword dancing thing at you, except you can't shoot it because it's made of fire.
Yeah.
I'm going to very casually sit on the fence here and say both are fine.
Okay.
I think the downside of the conjure elemental or the conjure whatever, all the conjure spells makes a lot of sense because the conjure spells are generally more powerful than the summon spells are, but the reliability of the summon spells is good if you want to have that reliability. So I think it's fine that both exist in the game, because if you want to risk it for a biscuit and summon the more powerful things, you take the conjures. If you want to take the more stable options, you take the summons.
Big agree. Simple. Big agree.
So I don't think they should replace each other. I think they can both exist. Maybe one thing that would be nice if they want to rework how those spells work a little bit is, that was a dumb sentence, is make it a little more clear what the differences between the conjure and the summons are. Like, as an experienced player, experienced players, we know what the difference between the designs of the two styles of spell are, but if you're a newer player, you might see summon elemental and conjure elemental and not be clear what the difference between them is, and not really be sure why you would choose one versus the other. Right. So maybe work in a little bit of clarity in some fashion to what the difference is. You know, maybe the names could indicate something, or maybe in the description just explain it, but 5e likes to use their goofy natural language, so that might be a little hard with the whole natural language thing. I don't know. But yeah, I think they exist as an interesting option. Particularly when you look at like the elemental and the demon ones. This is like, oh, summon greater demon. I bring in a Bulgara, and then if I lose concentration, he go bye-bye. Whereas it's like conjure demon. I bring in a Bulgara and he'll still be there. Or I bring in like...
He'll be there. He'll just be a monkey.
Yeah, he'll be there doing some crazy shit. You know, like, I can't remember the like exact differences off the top of my head. It's like, you know, he'll still... Oh, there's a conjure demon. Interesting.
It's summon fiend.
Summon fiend, yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically, it's either a demon, a devil, or a Yugoloth.
Well, there's summon greater demon, but I thought there was also a summon... I thought there was also a conjure demon, but there's not.
No,
So let's take the elemental one. You summon the elemental with the summon elemental spell, and then you lose concentration, it disappears. But, you know, the summoned elemental is not literally the fire elemental stat block, for example. You use conjure elemental, and you can literally pick the fire elemental stat block. You're getting a little more power out of it, but you lose the concentration, and now it's sort of a wild card on the field. You know, it's a choice. Although I will point out that the conjure spells, a lot of them are higher, or no, there's a lot more variance in the levels of the conjure. So like conjure elemental is 5th level, but like summon elemental is 4th level. Which is that's slightly confusing too, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. They can all exist. It's fine.
Yeah.
Is it a little annoying if you summon 8 snakes? Yeah, a little bit. But whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. A little stress is okay. We'll make it through the trying time. I promise, GM, just because your player summons 8 snakes, you will survive.
All right, just have the bad guy snap his fingers and oh no, I cast insta-kill all animals near me.
No, you cast Meteor Swarm on the snakes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure like a single fireball will kill any number of snakes.
Yeah.
Unless you roll
Or just-
real bad, which
just
I guess
cast
you could.
I
Thunderwave.
guess the part of the problem is conjure animals is a 3rd level spell.
I also gotta say this because I do feel bad. So I have 6 players in my game. 3 out of the 6 have familiars, and every single fight, I feel so bad as a DM.
Kill them.
But I've been killing the animals
all.
every fight, and it's all with
Destroy
like
them.
an AOE ability or something that the monsters use.
It's fine.
And I feel like at sometimes my players, they do get mad, but it's like,
No.
listen, I'm not targeting it. It just happens to be an AOE thing. And we agreed to the social contract of like, hey, if your creature, your pet, you're using them for combat, you're doing the granting advantage constantly thing. It's fair game. I've been nice and I'm not targeting them.
Let me tell
I
you.
keep joking about it, but if an AOE thing happens, like a monster's fire breath, or recently they fought a robot and it had like this giant like shooting spinning saw blade nonsense, and it basically just fucking hit a bunch of them. It was like, it's on the battlefield.
Let me tell you, Matt. No remorse. No remorse.
Yeah.
Destroy them
Well,
all.
I can sense the annoyance because it's happening every fight. Like I can sense it with my players. No.
I mean,
Well,
if it is
don't put
causing
your-
a level of annoyance,
Don't put your familiar in danger.
Well, no, because it's a part of the game that the players want to use, and I want them to use it. That's the thing. Like,
Well, yeah, but you got to
and
be
again-
smart about how you use it.
yeah, no. But again, it's not like they're gonna know like some of the monsters I throw at them have an AOE thing.
I guess, but
It's just one of those things in combat.
I feel like
where
at
it's-
higher levels you should know. Don't club
they're
up.
only level 5.
Yeah, it's high enough. Don't club up.
for me, I think it's more of if it's a ritual spell, like
That too.
the
Yeah.
characters aren't gonna, especially if they're playing like
You aren't losing any resource.
Yeah, you're not losing a
Magic
resource.
schools, yeah.
You're
Well,
losing
their money.
Yeah,
Little.
10 gold pieces, but like money's not really a consequence in anything past like 3rd level. Let's be real. And I would just say if you're at a school, like maybe just a limit, like you're gonna have. I don't believe a school would make you pay for the incense to summon your familiar, right? It's probably like, oh, teacher, can I have the incense? Yeah, it's in the fucking back room. Just go take whatever you need, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it is a thing where the familiars are dying every single fight,
It's been every single fight the last 3 or 4 fights, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, I can see that that's being annoying now.
yeah, I'd say either maybe cut back a little bit on the AoEs, or even that you don't really have to do it a lot. Just to,
That's the thing. Like, yeah. Like,
yeah, I don't know, because
it's
agree.
only I've recently been noticing it's the last 3 fights where it's been like an AOE thing, or I think there was one example was one of the players was like, hey Matt, so the bad guy's about to attack this dude, can I have my familiar distract him or something so he'll like target him? Like, okay. So in that instance, that's fair game, that's fine.
Yeah.
The player was totally willing. But like, again, if they're fighting a robot and they don't know the robot has a big AoE attack thing, then it's like, well, like, because 9 times out of 10, it's like, cool monster, and then just fucking eat it at them.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, gentlemen,
Yeah,
I'm cutting
yeah.
you off. Gotta wrap this shit
Fair
up. But finish your sentence.
Oh yeah, if you're using them in combat, you do have to be prepared to take some L's. Like having permanent advantage as a bonus action. There's no real like bones about it. That's really good.
Very strong.
Yeah.
I would know. I'm doing it in Solasta right now.
Correct.
And my blade singer, sorry, is really getting those hits in. So yeah, it's strong. So you got to be prepared to take some L's. Whenever Adamus dies in Josh's game, I'm bummed, but I'm never like, I can't believe you fucking did that. It's like, no, Adamus kills a lot of things.
He does. Also, there's plenty of times where, you can move him away from the danger.
True. Yeah, he only really dies if the enemy goes first. That's when he's kind of fucked. But other than that, yeah, take it away.
Take these nuts away.
Got him. Any closing thoughts on druids, Josh? Before we wrap up.
Druid cool, Isaiah wrong.
Wow. Isaiah?
Why be animal when you can be rock?
I was really waiting for Isaiah to say Druid lame, Josh wrong. Missed opportunity.
And then me in the middle. I want my tree wizard. That's all.
Have your tree.
Yeah, but I want an official tree wizard.
Ooh, it's called Druid of the Land.
No. But I want it to be moved into the chapter where it says wizard and not into the chapter where it says druid. And if I just rip out the sheets of paper from my player's handbook that say druid, and just
well, you know what, Matt? My response is going to be what you said to me. Do it yourself.
You know what? Yeah, I will do it myself with blackjack and hookers and no druids.
If you made it this far, boy, you're a trooper, but also, for the love of God, hit like or subscribe, please. Also, if you're feeling spicy, maybe leave a comment about your opinion on Druid, how you feel about it, or who's right, Isaiah or me. Is a Druid an animal changer, or should a Druid be a nature magic person, or Matt's Druid is a subclass? Follow us on the Twitter if you want to keep up to date, and yeah, I don't know, that's mostly it. I'm tired.
Yeah. Bye.